We are building up to round 6 of the GB4 Championship here at Silverstone. It was a cracking race and a cracking drive by Tom Mills earlier, who drove away to take his first ever win here at Silverstone. It's a dream come true for drivers to win around this circuit. Before we build up to round 6, let's first reflect on what happened in round 5.
Highlights from GB4 round number 5, big wheel spins off at the start from some of those down the order, the likes of Hotchin, and unfortunately Konzo getting a very slow start to the race, but it was great up towards the front for the likes of Colin Queen and the likes of Tom Mills as well. Fairbairn getting a decent one, but a better one from Cooper Webster, who managed to work his way around the outside and take over second position on the race down towards Magnus Beckers and Chapel. Queen under pressure from Fairbairn as they would head their way through, and then it was eyes backwards, unfortunately, from those in this grouping. Looking at the charges of the likes of Reynolds, a big moment from Lee being sent off, unfortunately for him. A damaged front wing, then disintegrated a little bit going into Magnus Beckers and Chapel from the likes of course, Dylan Hotchin, who came through, and unfortunately that damage from the front wing came from the first lap of the race and really went for it. Then Colin Queen was on the attack of Cooper Webster. He'd sent his way down the inside coming into the Stowe section, and he was able to work his way through into second place. Across the line though, Tom Mills taking his second win of the season, and a fantastic drive as well.
So there we have the highlights from round 5 earlier for some drivers. The first ever time they would have gone out on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. I mean, what an experience for them, first of all. Before we talk about the race itself, what an experience for all those young drivers.
Yeah, racing on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit is a dream for a lot of the drivers, having come here and watched the British Grand Prix, among other racing series. It's just a great thing to do. And then the race itself, it was battling up and down the field and overtaking at some of the iconic corners. Must be a cool experience for the drivers.
But out front we had a driver dominating and showing his experience, I think, Tom Mills.
Yeah, Tom Mills, we spoke to him on the grid, he's confident. He feel like he's got that car underneath him exactly how he wants it. Got a year of experience, the only second year driver on this grid, and he did exactly what he said he wanted to do. Get away at the start, break the toe and drive away, and he did to a resounding victory. I think it was 5 seconds in the end.
Yeah, he certainly did, and he was very happy after the race. It was his first win at Silverstone. Let's hear what he had to say. Tom, congratulations, second win of the season, but your first here on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. That must be very special.
Yeah, Silverstone was always a bit of a bogey track for us. Myself, it didn't really suit my driving style, and the team struggled a bit last year, but we really hit the nail on the head this year. The car was really good. We worked really hard in testing. We started a bit on the back foot compared to some of the other lads, but yeah, no, as soon as I got away, just got my head down for the first few laps and built the gap, and then just trying to save the tyre. I mean, the tyre at front left took a caning, but yeah, it's good.
We'll take a quick look at it. You'll be able to see there, Ben, if you have a quick look. So, was that causing you some issues towards the end then?
Yeah, when it starts graining like that, you could probably get through the graining, but in a race like that, it was just there. Everyone has it. It's just the nature of F4 cars on this track, like with the really long corners like Stowe and stuff. But yeah, no, mega race.
This must be a really special moment for you. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, well, it's just massive thanks to the team. The team did a fantastic job. The car's brilliant, and I don't know if I'm in for the whole season yet, so just thanks to all my sponsors for making sure I can keep going round by round at the minute.
You're doing a fantastic job. Congratulations, GB4 Round 5 winner Tom Mills, his second of the season.
The GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, is the UK's best value single-seater series and is run by Motorsport Vision's racing arm, MSVR. The 2023 season will see drivers as young as 15 racing a Tata's F4 T014 car at 7 events across the country, with 3 races per weekend and 21 in total. Each race weekend consists of 1 qualifying session and 3 18-minute races. The third race features a complete reverse grid, with the fastest drivers from qualifying starting towards the back of the pack. The calendar started in Alton Park on Easter weekend, with visits to Silverstone Grand Prix in Donington Park in May, Snetterton in June, before we return to Silverstone Grand Prix again at the end of July, Brands Hatch in September, and then the season finale at Donington Park in October. There are no required pit stops in GB4, but each driver is only allowed to use a maximum of 6 tyres per race weekend, the equivalent of 1.5 sets, so tyre strategy will play a key part in each weekend.
There are multiple prizes on offer in GB4, including a £50,000 contribution to a 2024 campaign in GB3 or British Formula 4 will be awarded to the 2023 champion, as they look to move on to the next step in their career. There is also the George Russell Pole Position Cup, which awards each driver who claims a pole position with a £125 cash prize, and the driver who takes the most poles throughout the year will also win the Pole Position Cup and a further £1,000. Finally, there is the GB4 Shootout for the top teenage National Formula 4 drivers who will take part in a three-way shootout for a £20,000 prize fund towards a seat in next year's GB4 Championship.
So Dylan, your first race on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit earlier for round 5 of the GB4 Championship. How did it go?
Yeah, it went all right, saying I've done 21 laps before I went out for the race ever on this track, well on the Grand Prix track, but yeah, it went okay. Had a bit of damage at the start, which I lost the front wing, but battled on and just got to 13th, and I'm happy with it. It's just a decent place really for us.
And of course this championship is about getting young drivers out in single-seaters on big tracks like this. Tell us, what was the experience like when you left the assembly area and went out onto that starting grid? What was going through your mind?
It's a bit unreal. You feel a bit like an F1 driver, to be fair. It's like you're not, it's not nothing you should, like anyone can experience really, but then GB4, you can experience it because it's cheap. It's awesome really.
And you've put a lot of hard work yourself personally into this weekend, and I imagine all that hard work now paying off must feel good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's nice to just be able to do anything on the car by yourself, and it's like changing the front wing or anything like that. I can do it, and it's just nice to get other people doing it as well, like our apprentices. They're doing it and they're enjoying it. Everyone's enjoying it. It's good fun.
Well, I'm sure you're going to have good fun as well in the reverse grid race. Best of luck.
Cheers, thank you.
We've made our way down to the Oldfield Motorsport Centre here, and we've got Jason Conzo. Jason, it's great to have you with us on the grid, but I hear, unfortunately, you're not going to be joining us for the next round.
Yes, no, first 2 rounds and that's it, unless we have some marketing opportunities that come our way. But still, even then, it's a great time here at the GB4 Festival.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Of course, first round at Alton Park, Silverstone this time out, very different circuits for these cars.
Oh yeah, Alton Park was a short, very aggressive circuit. You really had to drive it hard, and Silverstone was actually the complete opposite. Smooth as a pool table, and you just had to be really smooth with everything you did to carry as much speed. But even then, I had a great time. It was more like the American tracks, open and fast.
Open and fast, the way you like it. And talking of American tracks, so I can tell from your accent that you're not from around these parts. You are from somewhere else? Tell us where you're from, and also, do you live here now or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm actually from Long Island, New York, so a bit of a ways, and we actually, me, my dad, and we had the rest of the family come out. We were commuting back and forth. The plane ride's a bit of a hassle, but besides that, I mean, we love coming over here to the UK. It's a great time here.
And you find the racing's good over here as well?
Oh my God, yeah, not just the racers, even off track, all the racers. I love talking to them. They're all great people. And I mean, the whole GB4 Festival, I'm sure you, as everyone else that's been here, has found out, the whole atmosphere is amazing, the racing's amazing, even the tracks. I mean, what's not to love about racing in the series, right?
Brilliant. Well, Jason, great to chat to you. Thank you very much for joining us at GB4, and hopefully we'll catch up with you at some point, maybe later in the year. Fingers crossed.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope to see you guys again.
This weekend, we head off to the home of British motorsport, to a circuit which straddles the county lines of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire. It's a fantastic venue that stood the test of time in the world of motorsport, opened back in the late 1940s. It has been a true test for many of our drivers for years and years and years, courtesy of some of the most incredible corners in world motorsports: Maggotts, Beggars and Chapel, Stowe, going around Club, up through Abbey. It is a fantastic venue. Of course, the start-finish straight for us out of Woodcote down towards Copse Corner this weekend over the 18 turns. Some of the most well-known in all of the world, including the end of the Wellington Straight, where you've got the Brooklands Corner. 5.9 kilometres or 3.6 miles in old money as they wrestle their way around the circuit, which has very little when it comes to elevation change, courtesy of it being an old airfield back in the 40s. And that is a look around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. We'll be racing this weekend.
Good to hear from Jason Conzo and Dylan Hodgin there. I mean, Jason, a shame we might have to wave goodbye for him for him for now, but Dylan, we're going to be seeing him towards the front at this one as well. What's going to be going through their minds? I mean, Jason, it's going to be one of his last races for now in GB4, so how does he approach this one?
Yeah, drivers like Jason and Dylan, who have maybe been slightly further down the field in what would have been race 1 and race 2, now have an opportunity to start up near the front and have effectively a race for the win because of the reverse grid. Everyone who was within 103% of the fastest time in qualifying will be reversed. So Tom Mills, who's on pole, will be at the back of the field, and then of course Dylan and Jason, who are a bit further down in the first couple of races, will be up the front, and it should bring the pack together and make for some excellent racing.
Yeah, it should. I mean, we had a runaway leader there in Tom Mills in the in round 5, but we were hearing from Dylan there how he said it feels a little bit unreal when you go out there on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. I imagine that's going to be exaggerated now when you're at the front of the grid. How's it going to be for him?
Yeah, imagine just being, the front of the grid, seeing an empty track going into turn 1, thinking it's the British Grand Prix, but it's of course it's GB4 cars. Maybe one day for some of the drivers, these drivers will be moving up the motorsport ladder and a lot of them will become successful racing drivers, whether that be in single-seaters or anything else. And the fact that we get to race on amazing circuits like this with a big crowd here at Silverstone today, and wonderful weather, is great to see. And I'm looking forward to the race, to call it from the comms box. Hopefully you at home will be looking forward to watching it too.
Yeah, we're getting very close. Now, as you heard from our interview with Dylan Hotchin, he's a driver that actually works on his own car. Lewis McGlade will now bring you up to speed on what all these drivers are driving in the GB4 Championship.
The 2023 car then is the same as we were racing in 2022. The Tatuus F4T014, an affordable entry for a lot of these drivers that are moving their way out of karting into slicks and wings. An engine of a 1.4 litre, 160 brake horsepower engine that's sending all of that to the rear wheels, being slowed down by Brembo brakes. Taking a look at the rear of the car, we can see the 6-speed sequential gearbox, all controlled by paddles on the rear of the steering wheel. And as we move around, we can take a look at that rear wing. Adjustable over 2 profiles. They've got a little bit that they can do with that to make the car more oversteery, faster in a straight line as well. Tyres, the Pirelli tyres that we were running back in 2022, these they get 6 tyres over a race weekend, and the weight of the car being 570 kilos, definitely on the lighter side of things. We'll take a look at the twin wishbone suspension, adjustable for all of the drivers and teams, as well as the adjustable front wing as well. All of these setup changes, all the drivers will be using to maximise their performance across a race weekend.
And it is that time. We are down in the assembly area. Round 6 of the GB4 Championship is almost ready to go, Piers Prior. This is when the excitement builds up. This is when the nerves build up as well. We're on the reverse grid race as well, so
we are.
Maybe some new faces towards the front.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. Of course, we've got an all 4-tech front row. The reverse grid race really gives an opportunity for the drivers who have been fast of the weekend to work their way and get some overtaking, and also the drivers who may not always usually get a chance for the win to get, taste the champagne.
Yeah, and also it's like you said, when you have a chance to start at the front, that's when you can really build as a driver, isn't it? That's when it can give you that confidence to really push on.
Yeah, exactly. And also this GB4 Championship is designed for drivers who haven't got a huge amount of racing experience, potentially their first season in car racing, and you get a lot of experience from just starting at the front of the grid. That's something that you can't learn in a lot of other championships if you're always in qualifying order until you get there. So then by the time you get there, you haven't got the experience, whereas you get experience to be able to do that. And I think it might be a good opportunity to grab a word with some of our front row drivers.
I think we're going to start with Aditya Kulkarni. Let's come down and have a little chat. Aditya, starting on the front row, how are you feeling ahead of this one? I imagine a little bit nervous, but also excited?
Yeah, I feel really good for starting Silverstone, one of the best tracks in the country, on the front row. It should be much better this run because there's no more problems with the engine, and I'm looking forward to get started.
So confident now that you've done some good work with the team in between races, and you think you can go and apply that now and maybe go and challenge for a podium?
Yeah, 4-tech motorsport has helped me a lot, developing from karting to single-seaters. Their engineers and data, as well as their kart chef stuff, is really good.
Adi Kulkarni, best of luck. We're going to go from one side to the other, Ben, because Piers Prior might just jump in. We've got a chat going on here, but Ruhan Alva will be our pole sitter.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can jump in. Nick, can I jump in and interrupt, please? Yes, right. Ruhan, of course, starting Pole position, a good opportunity for a strong result.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a good race if we can get a good launch. We actually have really good pace in the drive, but we've not been able to show it. Last race, I had a puncture after a lap on contact, but after the pit stop, we were like P3, P4 on the timing sheet, lap time wise, so it should be a good race.
So you're getting a few words of wisdom from last year's champion Nicholas Taylor. What was he saying to you?
Yeah, I mean, really great to get some help from him. He knows the track, knows the car, and he's been helping us out a lot.
Any pearls of wisdom that he shared with you?
Yeah, a few things, but I'm going to keep that to myself.
Absolutely right. Well, good luck from pole position. I look forward to seeing how you get on, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in and have a word with Jason Konzo. I know for now it may be your last race in this championship. We hope to see you back, of course, but well, how does it feel to be sat on the grid?
I'm at a loss for words, really. The drivers, the event, everything about this is amazing. So I'm just looking forward to getting a good show and a good start, and hopefully put on a good show for you guys.
And you've enjoyed the experience so far, learnt a lot from it, and hope you can come back and do some more racing?
Oh yes, I definitely think I'm exponentially better as a driver. Just look, so many takeaways from this, and like I said, some of the best drivers in the world over here. So that's why I'm super stoked to put on a good show.
Well, best of luck. We're going to have a walk down. We've got a couple of minutes left, so we'll let you have a jump in and have a word with Sid Smith.
Why not, Sid? It's good to be racing at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. You're starting on the second row. Good opportunity for a good result.
Yeah, definitely. Weekend's gone pretty well so far. I mean, Fox have produced me a really good car, so I can't complain about that. We've been just chipping away all weekend trying to find the pace and stuff. Quality was alright, I felt like I could do a bit better, but this reverse race I really feel like it's an opportunity to show what we can really do, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds, and well, I'm going to give it everything, so yeah.
Plan for the race?
Well, the win obviously, that's the plan for everyone really, but hopefully get a good start, get a head down, just get away. I know there's quite a few fast people behind me because obviously it's a reverse race, so we kind of just got to get away before they can start to catch up or make a dent in my time.
Well, I look forward to seeing how you get on. Thanks for chatting to us, Sid. Good luck in the race. Fox Motorsport, Chris?
Well, there's someone who could definitely move forward. I'm going to have one quick question with Harry Reynolds as well. Got on the podium in the third race at Alton Park. Reckon we can do that again?
That's the aim. We're going for the top step, so make sure you watch it.
And next to you as well, Tom Levin giving great advice. Tom, how are you feeling ahead of this one? How does it feel to be back in the paddock as well?
Yeah, it feels good to be back at Silverstone with some success in previous years around here. Yeah, it's good to be back. But I'm enjoying coaching Harry this weekend and the other people at Elite.
Confident we can do well here. Tom Levin now racing in Formula Regional.
Let's grab Nicholas Taylor, our last season's champion. Nicholas, we saw you giving Ruhan Alva a few words of wisdom. He wouldn't tell us what you were saying, but what would you be saying to the drivers right now on their position?
I'm not allowed to say.
You're not allowed to.
Just focus on everything we talked about. Just like warm up. Just don't focus on too many things at once, or else you just won't concentrate.
And a quick word, we saw a lot of graining on the front left-hand side tyre in the first race. Do you reckon we're going to have the same in this one?
I don't think so, because it's a bit hotter. But I think with some setup changes, I think it'll be all right.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to it. Thanks for chatting to us. Good to see you in the paddock.
No, we don't have a miss. We do just have a big gap. It did throw me off for a second here, but kindly our marshal has just confirmed that just a big gap, no one missing from the grid. Liam McNeely could be one to watch in this one as well. He's going to be going from P7. How about Cooper Webster as well from P9? Colin Queen, another one to watch. We can hear the engines firing up. Come then, we'll go a little bit further forward. Here's a man we could see moving forward as well, I'm sure, Piers. Tom Mills, who's going to be starting just outside the top 10. Reckon he can make some places?
Absolutely, Tom Mills is going to make some places. I reckon he's going to be well within inside the top 10. It's just whether he can keep out of trouble. We know he's got the pace. How far can he get? I'm not sure. And also it's about managing that front left tyre, I reckon, because although we heard from Nicholas Taylor, he don't reckon it's going to be as much of an issue. Everyone's on new left-hand side tyres. It could definitely, if you don't heat the tyres up in the right way, play as a factor in the end of the race.
Yeah, and we'll keep walking back. We can see Harry Burgoyne Jr. We spoke to the young Scotsman a little earlier this weekend. Got on the podium. Oh, that was close. Was there almost a racing incident down in the assembly area between cameramen? I'm hearing we've got 1 minute, so I'm going to quickly speak to Tom Mills. Tom, very, very quickly, how are you feeling ahead of this one, mate? 2 wins so far.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Hopefully we can make some progress. It's hard with dirty air, but
the system should help me move forward.
Thanks for speaking to us. Best of luck. Can we maybe grab one more? I think that might be it. I think that might be it.
Yeah.
I'm being told no. Oh, what a shame. Let's go around the other side so you can see the cars. The guys towards the back will pass us. We'll undertake it and get the right side.
Yeah, of course.
Final thoughts before the race, Piers?
I'm looking forward to this one. I think there could be definitely some manoeuvres up and down the field. We just heard from Tom Mills there. He's feisty and ready to go. He's going to be making his way up the field, but he's got a lot of competitive drivers between him and the front. The two Fortec guys at the front, of course, on the front row will be fighting it out. I'm looking forward to a good race.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. We can see them. Harry Burgoyne Jr. Let's just make sure he fires up okay. He does. Dylan Hodgkin is away okay, and here comes the remaining two drivers next to us. Leicester goes by us as well for the final time this weekend. Let's go racing in the GB4 Championship.
And so here we are then for the last time this weekend, ready to go racing for what has been a thriller here at Silverstone. We've had brilliant races in the GB3 Championship partnered by the BRDC. We only had the one earlier on today in the GB4 Championship, and we continue on that trend. The one final race, which is a reverse grid race. It did come from the initial times in qualifying, and that's why Ruan Alva will be starting from pole position. The 103% rule did miss out 4 drivers, courtesy of what was very, very difficult conditions when it came to wet weather for the likes of Burgoyne, Hodgkin, Lee and Leicester. They were not inside the 103% rule, which is, to be fair, perfectly acceptable in GB4. We'll take a look though at the starting grid, where we can see Ruan Alva starting from pole position. Is a Fortec lockout on that front row. Aditya Kulkarni will start from second. Behind that, Sid Smith from third, saying that he wanted to have his good chance at winning this race alongside Jason Konzo in fourth for the Oldfield Motorsports car. What can he do in his final start? As Jack Clifford will start from fifth. Harry Reynolds in sixth position for Elite Motorsports. Behind that, we have Liam McNeely and Jeremy Fairbairn, again a winner this season. Pair of these taking victories this season, starting from 7th and 8th. Cooper Webster having a couple of podiums so far in the season, and Colin Queen were also on the podium earlier on today. Tom Mills, 2-time race winner in 2023, will start his way from 11th before we get to those drivers that were outside of the 103% rule. Harry Burgoyne will start from 12th place, and then behind that we have Dylan Hodgkin, Thomas Lee starting from 14th, and of course the man, the myth, the legend, Christian Lester starting from 15th. Any notes there from down in the warm-up?
It's interesting to see how everyone's, planning ahead for this race. Everyone on 2 new left-hand side tyres. I still think that there could be some form of graining, which could affect how the driver's pace falls throughout the race. You might be fast at the start and then fall away at the end, or those who potentially are looking after their tyres a little bit better and bringing it in and a bit more kindly to the tyre might be slower at the start, drop a few positions, and then be rapid at the end. But yeah, it's going to be a mixed grid, as it of course always is with the reverse grid race. But I'm looking forward to a good final race of the weekend in the GB4 Championship.
Yeah, counter to how things are in the GB3 Championship with the final race, where it is a reverse grid. In GB3, the race is extended in length. In GB4, it is not. It is the same race length as what we've been dealing with in the previous races. So it will be 18 minutes long. So any of those tyre grading or any of those issues, they're not going to get worse. There's no extra race length to go into, but it means you have less time to work your way up the order, which should be a bit easier in GB4.
Yes, the overtaking is slightly easier in GB4. We've mentioned it a couple of times already this weekend, but you do have slicks and wings, and there is a decent amount of downforce, but the dirty air that comes off these cars and the small single element front wing doesn't get so affected, so you can definitely follow closely in the high speed corners. And the slipstreaming is definitely a factor in all of the long straights around this very, very long Silverstone Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah, it certainly is. 5.9 kilometres in length around here, which for these kind of cars, you know, it is a long distance. You know, they're visiting Grand Prix circuits. They'll visit here a couple of times, once more again at the end of July, going through into the summer. I mean, to be fair, it does seem very summery conditions out there. It looks a bit toasty.
It's lovely out there. I was a bit toasty in my jacket, but I didn't fancy getting my pasty arms out quite yet. But the drivers, of course, are not worrying about that. They'll just be looking at the track temperature, figuring out how exactly they need to bring the tyres in. We spoke to Nicholas Taylor, and he's given them some wells of wisdom for the Fortec cars in the front row. But all of the teams, of course, have got very experienced mechanics, engineers, and driver coaches to help them out with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think he'll be very happy, Nicholas Taylor, with how Colin Queen performed in the previous race. Again, you know, handing out. Bear in mind the driver coaching that he's doing. He's not just driver coaching Colin Queen. He is driver coaching all three of them in GB4, so Kulkarni and Alva as well. So he's a busy boy when it comes to race weekends. All of them lining up into their spots. 18 minutes will go onto the board, and again, this is round 6 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. A reminder as to the front row on the right-hand side with the green highlighted Fortec car. That one there is Alva and Kulkarni. I think Alva might be a little bit too far ahead in his box as the second boards will go out onto the drivers. The lights will come on and they will go out as we've got Konzo, who's stalled again. Same with Hotchin in the background, so struggles to get these ones off the grid. Christian Lester's worked his way through, and there's already a puncture for Sid Smith going through that. Oh, it's not even a puncture, his front left has been ripped off, so definite car contact on the race down towards the first corner. So Sid Smith, unfortunately, with dramas early on, as we see racing down towards the Magnus Beckers and Chapel. There's Harry Reynolds trying to work his way through on race leader Alva. Big slide there from the number 17, just manages to catch it and might well lose out to Clifford here as well.
Well, great racing as then Harry Reynolds goes across the grass at Chapel, deciding he's not going to make it through there, as getting squeezed by Alva, but unfortunately must have been contact between Alva and Sid Smith, or I didn't see exactly who it was, because Sid Smith had a great start, looked like he had the whole shot, but then unfortunately has damage. But we're still going 3 wide now. It's pretty much 2 and 3. It's 4-4-2 formation going through Stowe here.
I think Webster might have almost had a little bit of contact, and there is right pinch to the inside. This is Harry Reynolds though going for the race lead, so they're still side by side in all of this. That running out wide there is the Fox Motorsports car of Liam McNeely, who won the reverse grid race back in Alton Park. But as they head out wide, it'll be Cooper Webster trying to sweep his way to the inside. Fairbairn is on the inside with that bright orange sort of highlighted wing mirrors. That'll be Fairbairn there on the left-hand side, who's now defending from the number 37 of Cooper Webster, still side by side as they head through Abbey.
Whoa, on the outside of Abbey, and McNeely then decides he's going to take the runoff, as does Konzo, I believe, in the background. Not quite making the corner. They'll have to rejoin into the right of shot. There you can see them coming back in, having lost time and places, and they'll have dirt on their tyres as well. As you can see him almost going up the inside, and that is Lee has come off, and hopefully he can get that car going again, otherwise we may be under a safety car. But Konzo's making up for a poor start, making some moves at the back of the field.
Now, if he has stalled, these cars do have a starter on board, right?
Yes, they do. You can press a button and it should go, unless sometimes they are quite hard to start once the engines are warm. As we see a move, Cooper Webster looking up the inside in the Evans GP car. Not quite making that stick this time around. He's under pressure from Tom Mills, who's made up a few places already on the first lap.
Yeah, that is Tom Mills directly behind. Again, there's not teammates in there. Still unable to get back going again is Lee, unfortunately, the other Evans Grand Prix driver. The 37 here, not teammates with the car behind. Yes, they are black and blue. Yes, they do look fairly similar, but Evans Grand Prix not in conjunction with that number 21 that's just got to the inside. That is Tom Mills making his way through in the KMR Sport car. So that is a position picked up yet again from Mills, so he's now up to 4th position right from the start of this race. He's looking for a 2nd consecutive race win here.
Yeah, Tom Mills is on a charge. He said on the grid that he was feeling confident, and we spoke to him a number of times. He's looking forward to a good race, and he's had the great pace. Of course, he won at the first race that happened this weekend, this morning. Of course, yesterday's race unfortunately called off due to bad weather, but Harry Reynolds was looking very racy on the first lap and managed to get in the lead. Alva with a solid start, just a little bit of contact with Reynolds as they went through at Magnus and Beckett's, but currently in 2nd place. It looks like Reynolds has got a bit of a pace advantage over Alva at this stage.
Yeah, I think the big fear will be less so about Alva, less so about Fairbairn, but potentially towards Mills in that 4th position. You can see them all slowing down because there has been a safety car deployed now. So they are going to lose a couple of laps in this race, but that safety car, I mean, you were saying kind of it was expected if he couldn't get back going again. You can see there's quite a lot of gravel that's been spat out there as well. I'm going to assume that's Abbey for starters. So what would be turn one on the during the Grand Prix weekend? I'm going to say he's probably just spun off by himself. Let's take a look though at this start and see if we can work out what happened to Sid Smith. He's going through the middle of that gap, and I think you're absolutely right. There's the staller from Konzo. I think you're absolutely right. He must have made contact with Kulkarni, potentially.
Yeah, on the left. Here we go. Better view here. Sid Smith trying to go for the middle. Oh, no. Came across. That is so unfortunate. I think Kulkarni was... Alva was just having a look to try and block him off, and Sid Smith was already in that gap, so the stewards will be having a look at that, and you can see how disappointed Sid Smith is with that, and you can see the bent track rod, and he'll be, you know, that was an opportunity for him to win the race. He'd pretty much got the best start, and then Harry Reynolds going around the outside of Stowe corner and making that stick, and then in the background, there was actually contact there between the Evans GP car of Webster and I think it was Kulkarni that time.
Yeah, certainly so, and then we had this coming up towards Abbey. Again, this is where McNeely went exit stage left, and we'll probably see come through the foreground, but you can hear it certainly. So it would have just been a solo spin for Lee. I mean, let's be honest, Abbey is an incredibly fast corner in these cars. Flat?
I would imagine it would be flat out, I think. Maybe not on lap 1, so they would have all been taking it a little bit easy. Is this a replay?
Yeah.
Yeah, this must have been a replay. Is that
Konzo?
Konzo going wide again, so Konzo spent less time on the circuit than he has off this on the first lap of the race.
But thankfully, he will be able to catch back up under the watchful eyes of the safety car that being deployed here after just a lap and a half of racing. Doesn't mean at the moment, by the way, just courtesy of where they were on track. Dylan Hodgson set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, we haven't had a full real racing lap yet, have we? And without safety car or a start. So as it stands, Hodgson has the fast lap. I imagine
that's not going to stand.
No, it's about 10 seconds off where would be in full racing conditions. That car of Lee is hopefully in a safe position now, so I'm looking forward to being able to get running hopefully at the end of this lap.
Yeah, I would suspect the safety car, like obviously, you know, safety car lights aren't just going to go off now and speed up into the distance, but once they head into that third sector, once they've gone through the likes of Village and the Loop after the farm curve and out to the Wellington Straight, that's generally when the lights will be turned off and the signal will be passed off to the rest of the field to let's go back racing again. 12 minutes left. Normally we'd expect these ones to be 9 lap races. When the safety car comes out, it's going to lose us some racing time, probably end up being around about an 8 lap race. They normally do around about 3 minute lap times under safety car, 3 minutes 30, roughly under safety car, so we will lose it should, at this point, as being only under safety car for 1 lap, it should just be the single lap of racing that we lose.
Still plenty of racing to go.
Oh, yes.
Tom Mills is now very much in a good position. We're looking at his car now, the number 21 grey and blue KMR Sport driver. Tom is he's had very good pace, of course, won the race quite convincingly earlier on. He's now in 4th place on the road. The cars ahead of him, Fairbairn and Alva, his teammate Fairbairn, of course, and Alva in the Fortec car. I imagine he's got more pace than Alva and potentially Reynolds. Whether Fairbairn can keep Tom Mills at bay is another thing, but don't forget you've also got Cooper Webster right behind as well. He'll be looking to push on, as will Colin Queen in the Fortec car in 6th position. It's a nice little group there. I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on at the start. As the lights go out in the safety car, everyone will be focusing on the start now, and it's all about how well Reynolds can get away.
Yeah, I would have said last year Mills was up there, maybe second, maybe third best overtaker on the grid. Certainly used more track than everyone else. He was so good at using understanding the width of the car. Jack Sherwood was definitely best overtaker of the year, but Tom Mills would give him a good run for his money. So there is Harry Reynolds then pouncing as they head through Brooklyn. So time to affection, he's caught Alva napping, but there'll be no overtaking, I believe, until they come round onto the start-finish straight and begin the next lap. This will all be about setting themselves up, but that's a brilliant restart from Harry Reynolds, who's already pulled out what looks to me close to 3/4 of a second on Alva behind. We're worried about Fairbairn, we're worried about Mills. And again, we'll remind you, the 87 and the 21 in that very first race of the season, Alton Park, had a fantastic battle to begin the season for race victory on this one. So I don't think Fairbairn will particularly pull over to one side to allow his teammate through.
No, definitely no love lost between teammates there. They are fighting each other as if they're just two adversaries. Doesn't matter which camp you're in. And Tom Mills is definitely the closest of those top 4 to 3rd place now with Fairbairn. But a great start, as you mentioned, from Reynolds, going a bit earlier than potentially Alva was expecting reacting and pulling out pretty much the gap he had as before the safety car went in, and just enough broken the toe. About 8.5 tenths, maybe 9 tenths by this part of the circuit, which is outside of what you would expect the toe to be.
Yeah, with the time left, by the way, in the race, depending on what kind of lap times they're doing, I would suspect we should be having 5 laps left to go in this race. Might even just be on the cusp of a 6, depending on how fast they are. You can already see, by the way, a bit of a band appearing on the front right of Fairbairn's car. Let's see if he can fend off Mills. I think it might have just cleaned up, might have just been picking up a little bit of marbling as they head through Stowe. Certainly looks all right going through the club section out to the Hamilton Straight, but that is incredibly close. He really knows how wide and how long this car is, does Tom Mills, in that number 21 car, trying to pass the 87, his teammate in the KMR Sport camp, but Fairbairn is able to hang on. I get the feeling there's going to be a big dive here coming down to the farm section.
Fairbairn is wise to it, but now Tom Mills is going to look around the outside. Can he make that? It's going to be contact! Somehow they've made it through there, and Mills has gone round the outside. That's great driving from Mills, giving him his teammate just enough space. And now we see Colin Queen having a look at the inside of Cooper Webster, but not being able to make that move stick either. So great move around the outside of his teammate for Tom Mills, but I don't think it's quite done yet.
No, we were both in the camp of that was 100% both KMR Sports in this battle being removed from it, but you're absolutely right, it is not done. Colin Queen also involved, Cooper Webster also involved. That's a big send down the inside of Fairbairn. That is a super move from the 37 for the Evans GP team as they send their way around the outside of Luffield. The 37 is trying to make his way up. There's a bit of contact, and that'll be Cooper Webster sent straight off, and potentially he has hit the barrier, so Webster will be out. He's into the gravel trap. Fairbairn's able to carry on, but I've got to say there might have been a bit of mussing out wide there, or do you think Webster was trying to hang on a bit too late in the corner?
No, I think Webster was well entitled to that part of the circuit.
I thought as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you know he was fully alongside. Fairbairn knew he was there. Of course, it was a great opportunistic move into Brooklands, but then side by side to Luffield. I think it was Fairbairn just trying to push his luck and squeeze Cooper Webster into maybe yielding, and unfortunately pushed a bit too hard. And then once you clash wheels, the tyres grip each other, and that was it. And unfortunately, it's cost them both. Yeah, and really, really sad for not Connor Clifford. Oh my God, I'm mixing names up to get Cooper Webster. Cooper Webster, really unfortunate because that wasn't really his fault, and it's meant it's an end to the race and probably going to be another stoppage for safety car while they remove that.
Just about to say, yeah.
Good to see he's okay.
The fact that he's jumped straight out of the car and over the barrier, that car is still there. They could do it under double yellow, but you can see that's just ripped the rear left straight off.
And the front left.
And front left, of course. We'll keep you an eye on as to whether the safety car comes out, but I mean, you talk us through this one.
Let's have a look at a long slow-mo replay. This is where Cooper Webster got all the way alongside, and actually slightly ahead in the apex of Brooklands, but then that is, yeah, Fairbairn actually looks like he left the circuit to maintain the position. I can't see specifically, so the stewards will have a better look at that. But then we go side by side through Luffield. At this point, yeah, Cooper Webster's still actually ahead. Fairbairn now alongside, just trying to get on the power at this point of the circuit, and this is where the contact happens very late in the corner. Yeah, there's definitely enough space on the inside that Fairbairn could have given Cooper Webster more space, and unfortunately that meant they both went off and then into the wall. The tyre barriers doing their job and absorbing some of the impact, but that is still a lot of damage on Cooper Webster's car, and the end of his race, he will be bitterly disappointed to have been pushed out.
We are back under safety car. As expected, to be perfectly honest. We might still get some more racing. It's just going to take him a little bit longer to extract that car than it did of Thomas Lees earlier on, but again, the Orange Army work, great speed and great safety to keep us racing. So again, we always say it, but a big thanks to them that put in an awful lot of work this weekend for all the racing action. But yeah, big shame. I'd suspect again Fairbairn might deal with something from race control. Speaking of race control and some of the things they've been dishing out, they did dish out a time penalty to Dylan Hotchin for being, I can't remember if it was a false start, if it was being out of position. I think it was more out of position on the race start. So you can see him coming through the back kind of shot there in the number 50. There he is.
Yes, unfortunately a time penalty won't help or won't harm his race much at the moment because he is the last of the running cars. But also as a note, we saw on the grid that both the Fortec cars leaving a lot of space to their grid box and make sure they didn't get a penalty for being out of position, so they were being very safe, but potentially wouldn't have helped their run into turn one and could have contributed to the incident with Sid Smith, who had an excellent start.
He did really. I mean, I do feel very bad for the likes in the Fox Motorsport camp, because Sid Smith did have a very good start, did work his way through, but unfortunately does not get to reap the benefits of that. But yeah, that's racing at the end of the day. The fastest lap, obviously, again over the little bit of lap, more representative, but was Harry Reynolds doing a 2:02.5. still not super representative. We've not seen the great lap times from the likes of Mills or Queen. Mills has done a good job to work his way up to 3rd position. We just have to wait to see how many laps we lose under safety car. If we were to go back racing the time they come around this time, we would have 2 laps of racing left to go, so we may end up with just the 1.
It is quite a long lap here in the safety car, lapping slow enough, so hopefully give enough time for the Zoom Boom to remove that car from the Luffield gravel trap.
Lights are out on the safety car, so we are going. They have been zooming and booming to get that car off the race surface, but we will go back racing, which should mean we'll have 2 laps left to go in the final race of the weekend, which is great. I'm sick of sharing a couple
Lewis, yeah, I bet you are. Put your money where your mouth is. Who's taking the win?
Mills.
I was going to say Mills, but I think Mills will get past potentially Alva at the start if Alva doesn't quite get a good start like he did last time. But I think Harry Reynolds, if he does another good start like he did before, hopefully he mixes up what he did so he doesn't do the same thing to keep everyone else on their toes. If he can get away at the front like he did last time, he might just have enough of a gap, and it would be great to see the Elite Motorsports car get a win, because you know, he's driven really well this weekend.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, he's worked his way up the order in the previous race. He had a few struggles in qualifying, but certainly has the pace. I mean, like I say, Mills could win for sure. Lights are back on the safety car, so we are not actually going to go back racing. Unfortunately, at the moment, we'll have to wait and see as to whether that changes up. Again, there would theoretically be enough time to get. Oh, I don't know if there will be. 3 minutes 30 seconds is about what the safety car does around here. I do remember this actually happened back in Spa in GB3, and I remember Callum Voisin was yeah, you go there, Zoom being removing the car of Webster off the circuit. When Voisin was given control of the field, he slowed down so much they didn't have to go racing again. It was a very smart move and came across the line to take what was the victory at that point anyway.
That's the race experience you have from doing lots of championships, and you know, a lot of these drivers, this is potentially the first few times that they will have experienced a safety car and getting used to the safety car procedure. And for Harry Reynolds, I know he's raced another series previously, but you know, in this Slicks and Wings and at Silverstone Grand Prix, he'll be getting used to what's happening here. I think it's going to be very, very tight to see whether we're going race again. Probably.
I don't think we will.
Probably not. What was the last lap times?
3 minutes and 7 seconds. It'll be tight.
Oh, it's very, very tight, actually.
It will be tight. But the thing is, again, once the safety car starts to walk away from the field, then obviously Reynolds will back them up, but it'll back them up enough that it will pass over the 3 minutes. If I were a betting man right now, I would say we are not returning racing. The safety car might clear off, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Tell you who I think would like the safety car to come in this lap is Tom Mills in 3rd place. You can see him working very, very hard in the background to keep some temperature in those tyres. He's ready for a fight.
McNeely as well.
Yeah, McNeely too. Also, someone who's had a good race we haven't really mentioned much. Colin Queen is in 4th place right there. Colin Queen just putting in some consistent results. He's had a good start to the season.
Yeah, as they'll head down into the chicane, the Club Vale section. Again, this is not our pit lane, so it's round at the old start-finish on the National Straight. Like I say, we're about halfway round. There's 1:30 left to go, and these under the safety car we do about 3 minutes. I think the safety car will potentially come in this lap, but I do think by backing up the field, I do believe this will be the checkered flag being raised on the race, which is a bit of a shame as to how to end, but you know, these drivers are racing hard. That's why they're so desperate to work their way through the field early in these races, because it's only 18 minutes long, and when the safety car comes out, when the Orange Army have to do their work, yeah, you're going to lose a lot of time in these races.
Yeah, fortunate that we've not got much racing done in the second half of this race due to the safety car. But of course, safety is our #1 priority. We know motorsport is dangerous. It's on all the signs and fences around, but we do as much as we can to reduce the risk of anyone getting harmed wherever possible. And that car being removed, we don't want any of the drivers being in danger with the Zoom Boom on circuit and getting in, either if they lose control, hitting that, or alternatively, we don't want any of the cars, of course, getting anywhere near the marshals. Although the lights have gone out on the safety car, 35 seconds to go. Harry Reynolds, I think he knows what he's doing here. He's slowed right down.
Exactly. He knows what's going on. Obviously, he won't have a count for the time going on right now. We might get the final. We might get a final lap, but I think it's very unlikely. It'll take around about 20 seconds to get around You can see no one else is warming up tyres behind. I think they know what game's being played at the moment. They're well aware as to where things are. 11 seconds left of the race, so we are coming to a close, unfortunately.
Well, this is
Wise
good.
play.
This is great drive from Harry Reynolds. I think he knew it was going to be close, and he doesn't want to have to fight another lap. And even if he goes now, that is the end of the timer. So the checker flag will be raised this time. No passing until the start-finish line. So he's effectively just bringing us to the line. I'm sure he will gun it at some point just to make sure, in case he's got his calculations wrong, and he's gone now, but it's going to make no difference to the race result. Harry Reynolds is going to win this one.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, he's for the laps that he had to race for, he's pulled his way ahead. He got a good start to the race and took over the race lead. As they head their way towards the line then, Reynolds taking the victory ahead of Alva and Mills. Will be catching up with those three as they all head across the line. Again, there will be a post-race time period to Hotchin, but he is in 12th position, so he's only going to drop back theoretically on the timesheet. So our weekend comes to a close with Harry Reynolds taking a victory. Now, yes, I know I got a little bit of criticism for Mavliatov as well, talking about like his victory and how he did what he had to do on park. I think it's the same. It is the same here. Is that yes, I know we've had the safety cars out. Yes, I know, but at the time that mattered on the race starts, whenever he's had to get that restart done well, I've got to say, Harry Reynolds has done what he needed to do in this race.
Yeah.
And I also love his helmet.
Yeah, it's a great racing helmet, but also he had a great start, and don't forget he fought hard through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel and managed to go around the outside of this corner Stowe, and then managed to take the lead into Vale on the first lap. So, and then he pretty much controlled it from there. He had to do a safety car restart, which he could have messed up. Nope, he pulled away almost 8.5 tenths of a second over Ruhan Alva over the start-finish line, and then backed us up enough so that he didn't have to do another racing lap. So great drive from Harry Reynolds. Hopefully he can take this confidence from this race win and use it for the rest of the season. I think some of the drivers haven't quite realised that the checker flag has been pulled, as they were concentrating so hard, because it looks like they're still racing their way around the circuit.
They're thinking they've had a great run in. I mean, we'll find out if they go for another lap around Silverstone. I'm sure. I mean, to be fair, maybe they're just busting for a wee.
Maybe they are well hydrated today. It's hot in these cars. Thirsty work, but I'm sure they're all doing well. But it's good to see us keeping an eye on Harry Reynolds as he moves on the circuit. There's Tom Mills as well behind. A great strong weekend from Tom Mills, a first and a third position. So he'll be probably the highest scorer of this weekend, extending his championship lead. Yeah,
like I say, and he had a healthy-ish championship lead coming into this. He was 7 points clear of McNeely. He will pull out more from all of that, because in third position was Irfan, who's not here this weekend. In this race, McNeely's a couple of positions behind. In the previous race, I think McNeely finished fairly in the middle of the order. He finished in 7th position in the previous race, so certainly is a big result for Mills, and just shows that he's definitely the favourite for the title, and he's dealing with the pressure very well.
He is. He's very confident. Every time we speak to him, he's in a place where he's thinking, you know what, I don't mind what they throw at me. Tyres, rain, different drivers, reverse grids. He's like, yeah, just go with it. And that's the confidence you get as a second-year driver, and he's got that advantage over everyone else. But let's have a look and see if we can soon grab a word with the drivers who have finished on the podium.
I mean, we certainly will. Like I say, it's like I said, they've done what they needed to do. For some of the drivers that will be losing, is that?
It's Jason Konzo. Yeah, I think Jason Konzo thinks he's won the race and pulled up in first place and realised, oh, I'm in the wrong place. But there we go. Celebrations from Harry Reynolds.
That's very confusing. Yes, Konzo having a very confused final race so far in GB4, but Harry Reynolds out. Instant hug from Tom Leben, who's coaching a bit this weekend. Great to see that some of those drivers that we've had throughout the running of GB4 and GB3 over the last couple of years have come along to support. But Harry Reynolds, I mean, like I say, he's done really well. Gets a bit of a handshake from the crew and from Tom Mills as well, who will join him on the podium. And I mean, like I say, it's just a solid drive from him so far.
Yeah, he's done it very well. And there's Edward Ives, the team manager for Elite Motorsports, and he's going over to hug his, I think that might be his dad. Of course, Dad, we're doing very, very well.
Yes, indeed. Well, hopefully we'll head down to Chris McCarthy to have a little bit of a chat with our podium finishers.
Yeah. Well, we are down here by the podium area. Our winner, Harry Reynolds, has just come in, has just finished celebrating with the team and coach Tom Leben. Harry, very, very clever driving there on the last lap, just to back the field up so we didn't have to go racing for that final lap.
Yeah, luckily for me, we spent most of the race under safety car, so I knew we were going to be close on time, so I thought if I take as long as I can, then hopefully we'd cross with no time left, and we did, so yeah.
And a second place at Alton Park in the third race, one step forward this time, a win. How does it feel? And to do it here on Silverstone, on the Grand Prix circuit as well, it must feel amazing.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing to be able to do it at Silverstone, so hopefully we can keep the momentum going and be back for more.
Who would you like to thank?
Definitely my mum and dad. You know, we weren't sure if we'd be back here for this weekend, but we are, so it all has to go to them. Obviously, as well as Elite Motorsport, without them the car wouldn't have been as good as it was, so yeah, thank you to everyone who supported me.
Really great to see you back, and it was a superb drive. Very, very clever there at the end as well, but you deserve the win. Let's go and find our second place driver then, Ruhan Alba, who is over here, who's just getting his crash helmet off, actually. Ruhan Alba, we spoke to him in the assembly area before we went racing. Ruhan, we spoke to you about before the weekend as well. Absolutely superb. Congratulations coming in from everywhere. Podium at Silverstone. How does it feel? Has it sunk in yet?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really nice to be here. I mean, we could have had a better race. I had a really bad launch, and then I don't know what happened. I saw another car fly over me, basically. It was a bit scary at the beginning, but we were able to defend, keep fighting, and finish P2.
And you and Harry just seemed to be able to push away there. Were you just fully focused on getting your head down and getting away?
Yeah, that was the plan all along. Ideally, it would have been P1, but Harry passed me, and I just had to stick with him and hope that no one else catches me and starts fighting with me, so then we can get a gap to the guys behind.
I'm sure many people you want to thank as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big sponsors who have helped me get here, my dad, and yeah, it's a really great thing being an Indian driver, be able to get podiums outside as well now.
I'm sure you're going to be on the podium a few more times as well. Congratulations, well done. Let's go and find Tom Mills. We've spoken to him every single race so far. He came up from P11. Hello again. Hello. It seems to be a good thing. We're speaking all the time so far this weekend. That was good fun.
Yeah, it's good fun. It was very close out there. It's a shame when you get more racing laps. I think I had better pace than the two in front. I think I was just catching Alva. If I had a few more laps, I think we could have worked on him and then maybe caught Reynolds. But yeah, no, if 11th to 3rd in the laps we had, I can't do much more than that.
I mean, I know there's been questions over whether you could do the whole season. I think you probably proved it more than enough that you should be doing this championship. You know, 2 wins and a 3rd. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I've had all the pole positions. I've had 2 wins. My reverse grid race has been good, so it's been a fantastic start. The car the team have given me has been mega. It's a step above what we had last year, and it's really showing. So yeah, I'd love to be able to do the rest of the season. Still tight budget-wise, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm trying my hardest outside, away from the red track, to make it happen.
Well, I hope we see you back, Tom. Congratulations, superb drive. I just want to go and speak to Tom Levin because he was celebrating with his driver, Harry Reynolds there. Tom, that's a performance you were proud of, wasn't it? I know you worked with Harry quite closely, and how proud are you of him?
Yeah, it's an absolute great result. We've obviously race 1 getting cancelled and a P4 this morning. To get P1 now after starting P6 is definitely a great result for him and the team, really.
And obviously you're racing in Freca now, but how is it between rounds to be coming in and working with drivers like Harry?
It's really good for me to sort of go back to my roots at Elite, and I love coaching as well. I really do enjoy it. So yeah, it's definitely enjoyment for me.
And final question as well, that must have been something you talked about before, right? If we, in an instant with the safety car, just back the field up.
Yeah, you've got to be clever with it and sort of read the situation of what's going on. We did briefly talk about it over the weekend, but he stuck to my word and seemed to work.
Well, Tom and the Elite Motorsport team are going to go and get ready. Congratulations, because it is now time for the podium. So let's go back to Lewis McGlade.
Certainly is Mr. McCarthy. I think it was good to catch a little word with Tom Levin there, who proven winner around this circuit in GB3. He is a very, very solid driver, as we'll see the drivers come out and onto the podium, starting with, of course, that brilliant drive that was put on by Tom Mills. We do hope we see him in the championship throughout the year. Again, it comes down to budget. The KMR Sport team doing a very impressive effort so far this season, and Mills is our championship leader. Into second place, of course, it'd be Ruhan Alva, and nice Indian flag as well. He carries up there like the cape, like the hero he is. That is a fantastic effort from him to have taken second position. But our race winner, who took it on the line as he came across. It all came down to that race start. It all came down to the work he put in earlier on before the safety cars came out. Harry Reynolds for Elite Motorsports taking top honours. And yes, he is in Tom Leben's racing overalls. He is putting on quite a show for us, as he has done throughout the weekend. He's had to work up quite a lot of positions. The fastest lap of the weekend award as well, going its way to Tom Mills. That was from the race earlier on today. So again, a couple of extra trophies for Tom Mills to have taken, showing that he was exceptionally fast. And again, a reminder this weekend, he did take 2 pole positions this weekend. Yes, I know he only had 2 races, and one of them was the reverse grid, but the qualifying still counts, which means he's got 4 pole positions, which means his qualifying record for the year so far is 4 qualifyings and 4 pole positions. Will that continue in 3 weeks' time when we go to Donington Park? We'll have to wait and see as to whether we have Tom Mills as well. Let's take a look at highlights from the race. Highlights from the 6th round of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, and it all happened on the race start. Issues for Hotchin, issues for Konzo when it came to the race start, and issues as well for Sid Smith, coming through and receiving quite the whack from Alva as they were heading their way through into that first corner. And unfortunately for the Fox Motorsports car, that would be day done as the front left suspension was ripped off. On the race though, down towards Stowe, Harry Reynolds was trying to attack his way around the outside of Alva. Behind all of that, there was plenty of 2s and 3 wides, including Cooper Webster being pinched a little bit towards the curve. Fairbairn as well, battling it out with Liam McNeely. McNeely went wide, dragging as well Konzo, who also went wide, and there was unfortunately a bit of a spin for Thomas Lee coming through the Abbey corner. He would stall here, and that was what would bring out the first safety car. And by the time we got back racing again, Reynolds had checked out. Just a touch, a brilliant restart from Reynolds as he was starting to pull away from Alba. Big lock up there from Fairbairn as Mills was trying to get around the outside. Near contact between the 2 KMR Sport teammates, but Mills judged it to perfection, gave just about enough room and was able to hang on. This was what basically ended the race. Contact between Fairbairn and Cooper Webster going through the final corner. Webster being sent off into the gravel trap and into the wall as well. Retiring from the race, the Orange Army would be called upon again, and by the time we got round to the line, a well-judged restart from Harry Reynolds would give him the victory ahead of Alva and ahead of Tom Mills. So Elite Motorsports on top. And the very, very provisional results, once again, we know our race stewards will have to take a good look at everything that's happened, will be Harry Reynolds taking victory for Elite Motorsports, Ruan Alva as well in 2nd position, and Tom Mills in 3rd. Colin Queen, 4th position as well. We've had a decent weekend as the Fortec Motorsports driver, and then Liam McNeely in 5th. Clifford, then Kilcarney, Konzo, Fairbairn and Burgoyne finishing just inside the top 10. Christian Lester finishing in 11th position ahead of Dylan Hotch, who was also given a 10-second time penalty for being out of position on the race start. Retirements for Cooper Webster, Sid Smith and Thomas Lee as well. Very unfortunate for those, but again, we'll head down to Piers and see what's happening in the paddock.
On the stream, great to talk to you, and you're back again in the GB4 Championship. Great to be here. Talk to us about your weekend.
Yeah, it was really good. A bit at the start with the pace in the wet. It's probably my first time running, you know, in the wet. And but once it came dry again, obviously the race was cancelled. So I was actually looking forward to the bit of wet running. But yeah, then the next race was dry. Got a good start, and then this race got a good start again. But obviously the safety car and twice.
Yeah, of course, safety car took away from some of the racing, but it must be great to drive these cars at the Grand Prix circuit. And also, looking ahead, are we going to have you back for the rest of the season?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely Silverstone and Donington. But yeah, I really like Silverstone, the fast sections.
It's great to drive. Well, thanks for chatting to it, Christian. No good to hear that you're coming back for the rest of the season, or at least some of it. Let's grab a word with whoever's up next. Jack jumping in. Thank you, Christian, for your time. We spoke to you once already today, but we'll chat to you again, which is great. Unfortunately,
for Mum and Dad.
Sorry?
For Mum and Dad.
For Mum and Dad, of course. Unfortunately, not as many races as we would have liked in that one, but still, you had a good crack.
Yeah, definitely. We made a good start, and we were sitting in 3rd through the Maggots-Beckett's complex. Then when we were having a look at second, the leader and Reynolds had a moment and slowed up and everyone got boxed in. And then down the straight, our speed, we just got swamped by I got swamped by I reckon 6 cars in one go. So then tried to get a bit of air on the wing on the outside to gain some of it back. Lost a few there, and yeah, finished P6 overall. Would have been good to have had a green flag at the end to try and regain those at the start, but it is what it is.
It looked like it was about 5 or 6 wide, 2 by 2 by 2 going into Stowe on that first lap. Talk to us about that situation, how crazy it was to manage.
Yeah, well, everyone, had a bit of a gap behind the top 3 so that they could carry the momentum down the straight, while Reynolds, the Fortec car, and myself were all getting checked up. But yeah, it's very loud when 6 cars are right next to your head going down the straight, and it was a sit and duck really.
But good racing nonetheless. Costs next time out in a few weeks' time. Is there anyone you want to thank or say hello to from maybe from your homeland?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got Mum and Dad watching as well, Greg, my sisters, Lauren and Chelsea as well, James Meaden watching as well. Good to see you, mate. And of course, Greg, I was wearing your boots in that race, mate.
There you go. Great to chat to you. Thanks very much, Jack, and we'll see you at the next round. Colin. Oh my God, so many C's. Colin Queen for Fortec. Come on in. A great race, just off the podium there, but still. And it looked crazy in the first lap.
Oh, it definitely was. The start was really hectic. I got a good launch, and then I don't know who stalled it off the line, but yeah, definitely, it was a bit of a sacrifice in the turn 1 and got overtaken by Tom. But yeah, it was hectic, very hectic to say the least. I thought there was going to be quite a big shunt in a couple of places, but I think a lot of people just managed to get by. And but yeah, no, just 2 safety cars, 2.5 laps of racing. It's unfortunate, but that's how it works sometimes. We definitely, I think after the incident with Jeremy and Cooper, I got right back up to the front pack. So no, it was good pace all around this weekend, and I can't wait for Donington.
Do you reckon you could have made any headway after if the safety car had come in?
Yeah, definitely. If it wasn't for the first lap incident, I think I could have made up a decent amount of spots again. But that's how things work sometimes.
Well, thanks for chatting to us. We'll see you at the next round. I believe we've got another driver, Harry Burgoyne Jr. Come on in, of course, for the GBR Graham Brunson Racing Team. Harry, again, a bit of a fist bump between drivers there. Good to show the respect. Harry, it's been tough this weekend. It's very competitive out there, isn't it?
Yeah, very competitive. There's a lot of good drivers out there this weekend.
And how did you find racing around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit? Is this your first opportunity to drive on the circuit this weekend?
Yeah, first ever time here, so it was a good experience.
And we know you've got a lot of experience from karting. Are you able to translate that straight into the cars, or is it a bit to learn and get your head round?
It's a bit to learn and get my head around. Everything's basically different from cars to karts. So.
And of course, looking ahead to the rest of the season, what are you looking forward to? Are you going to try and go for wins at the end of the year? What's your goals?
Just podiums, wins, and just try and get further up in the championship.
Brilliant, Harry. Thank you so much for chatting to us. We'll see you in a few weeks' time at the next round. Chris McCarthy, I think, is ready to join in for the final bit. I think that's all the drivers we're going to get for now. So yeah, it's been a great weekend of racing.
It's been amazing, isn't it? I mean, what an experience. Tom Mills has would have raced here in the GB4 Championship before. Some of these guys would have raced here in things like Ginetta Juniors, but only that on the national circuit. We spoke to Liam McNeely about that earlier in the weekend, but for a lot of these guys, I think living a dream, by driving the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. And they put on a really good show, didn't they?
They did. Unfortunately, we didn't get as many racing laps in that as we maybe would have wanted to see, with that contact, of course, ending up with Cooper Webster in the wall and Jeremy Fairbairn at Luffield. And it was an unfortunate incident. I think the stewards will definitely be having a look at that, but it's all part of the learning experience that these drivers are doing. A lot of them, it's their first slicks and wings racing. A lot of them, it's their first car racing, and just learning where the limits are and how to, position your car and to fight is all about learning. And they'll, of course, if they need to, have to go and see Rob Barth, our driving standards steward, and he will tell them what they should and shouldn't have done, and then they'll take that and move up. And that's why a lot of the drivers from these GB4 and GB3 championships do so well in future series.
Yeah, shame about the incident, but it came because 2 drivers battling very, very hard to get on and towards the podium.
Yeah, it was a good move actually from Colin. Cooper, names are going to see Cooper. Naturally, went around the outside, which is always a risky manoeuvre, but yeah, unfortunately ended his race.
Yeah, and overall, a fantastic weekend, I think, here at Silverstone. I think the drivers have enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed it, Piers?
I've very much enjoyed it. It's been a good weekend of race. It's been a good weekend of racing. The sun has come out finally. Yesterday was a bit torrid.
It was a bit of a washout, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we didn't actually get the GB4 race, but hopefully we'll be able to bring you that GB4 race later on this season at some point. But no, very much looking forward to the next time we go out racing in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, and that is going to be on the 27th and 28th of May at Donington Park. Johners, Piers, Lewis, and the rest of the gang will be here to bring you all the action live. So make sure you join us. Don't forget GB3 will be at Spa shortly after that as well. So we have plenty of action coming up from GB3 and GB4. Thank you very much for joining us though from here at Silverstone, from myself, Piers, Lewis, and the rest of the team. For now, it's goodbye.